Well, you just heard it, Trey Mancini day to day dealing with that pinky injury, and now we're actually joined by Mike Bordick. He stopped by the set, and I'm so excited. I'm sorry, my hair is blowing in the wind, Mike. What's going on besides the fact that you're in your coaching uniform? I'm used to seeing in your MASN suit. So what is this?
Well, kind of my part-time job, right?
Double
exactly.
agent.
It's a lot of fun, actually, being down at spring training. This is, I guess, my 9th spring coming down to spring, helping out, throwing BP, hitting ground balls. And I've kind of got that coaching inside of me to where I like to see guys improve, especially younger players. And I think this year they're starting to push some younger players up and try to get them more consistent, and play at a high level and hopefully, it helps the Orioles.
I know it's a big difference between high school and pros, but you were a high school coach, and these guys are babies for the most part in terms of Major League Baseball players. How much of your high school coaching background comes back at times like this with so many young players?
Yeah, quite a bit, actually, because I don't think baseball really changes. I think the fundamentals are all still pretty much the same. Now, there are little subtleties, I think, in the game that can help some middle infielders as far as footwork and things like that. But the game's still the game. You still got to go out there and do your work, take your ground balls. You got to prepare pretty much the same way. I think at the major league level, though, they're afforded a little bit more time to work that routine in and stuff. So if I can help some younger players in that regard, because young players have a hard time understanding that routine part of the game and how important it is.
Mike, do you feel, being such a great defensive player that you're able to help these young guys more coming up? Are you more instructional this season compared to maybe the camp you had last season?
Well, I don't know. I feel like the same. I think I've been pretty fortunate last few years working with Bobby Dickerson and Buck Showalter, kind of giving me some leeway to help out a little bit in that regard. And I think Jose Flores is pretty much the same way. Just kind of letting me be more hands-on, help out some of the young players. They got so many young guys coming through right now to get a look at, and I think the more eyes are on some of these younger players, they'll be able to evaluate, and hopefully they can ask me at the end of spring training some thoughts on some of the infielders.
Okay, we've talked about Mike Bordick, the coach. Let's talk about Mike Bordick, the broadcaster. How much of this work right here helps out Mike Bordick, the broadcaster? Because you see these guys every day in a capacity that most broadcasters don't see it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm pretty lucky in that regard, to be there and witness the work they put in every day. I think that's important. And what it does is it helps me not to lose sight of how hard it is for these guys to go out there for 162 games. It's a tough season. It's all about that preparation, and there are going to be ups and downs. And I think, a lot of times guys that have been through it, I think, can help pull some of the younger players out of it a little bit sooner. And ultimately, that's what it's all about, avoid those longer slumps.
We got to talk about the new coaching staff. I know you went back to Dickerson and Buck, but what do you take away from Brandon Hyde and Jose Flores and the camp they're running? From what I see and what I hear from the players in the clubhouse, everyone's enjoying it. I mean, there's music, and yesterday Brandon Hyde said he's just loving the effort. And first, yesterday Brandon Hyde said, I've kind of stepped back and evaluated when I first became the manager. Now he's getting more hands-on. But what do you take of this whole camp, the way he's running it, the way his coaches are running it?
Yeah.
What's the latest?
It's different, it really is. And I think it's kind of going hand in hand with the new kind of analytical part of baseball. I think there's a lot of numbers out there. I think at times, though, the coaching has fallen by the wayside. I think it's kind of the old school kind of techniques. I think it doesn't work on the modern day player. So I think this young coaching staff has some real good kind of new school coaching technology, some coaching ideas, and a lot of it's more positive feedback, keeping guys upbeat, knowing that this game is full of failure, and just trying to keep guys at their best. And I think if they're relaxed and in a relaxed environment, as Brandon Hyde thinks, you're going to see the better player come out.
People, I think there's a misconception that there's no pressure on these young players because of the word rebuild that's been thrown out there. I take it the opposite way. A lot of these guys are having the opportunity of a lifetime with a chance to make the ball club and stay on the ball club. That's a tremendous amount of pressure on young players.
Yeah, it sure is, but I think it's healthy. I think this atmosphere right now is probably the healthiest baseball atmosphere they can be in. Mm-hmm. It's young players. There's a lot of open spots, catching. There's competition there. Middle infield, there's competition. There are a couple outfield spots, and, of course, the pitching. So, guys are coming together and trying to build kind of that team type of atmosphere, right, but they're also competing against each other for these spots. And I think what that's going to do is it should make the major league team better, but it should also create that depth of guys that understand what it's going to take to get on Brandon Hyde's side and be on the Orioles team.
Mike Bordick, I'm really excited to see you continue to coach this spring training and throughout the season, and also in the MASN booth, we'll both be working with you.